And we are back with the last live Pigtalk episode for Nampu 2026. This episode is broadcasted live here at Nampu Oesdag in the PIC Pig Complex, in the PIC stand. And it's also for our audience that's listening live online. And a very welcome to you guys as well. So my guest this afternoon on the couch is none other than Sarah Chirwa. Hi Sarah and welcome on the couch.
Hi Marguerite and thank you for having me.
So Sarah is part of the technical services team of PIC Africa, and the theme for this Pig Talk will be where piglets hit the ground. In other words, the farrowing house. So we're going to drill down a bit into the technical aspects of the farrowing house in a piggery. Sarah, let's get started with the first question. Why is the farrowing house so important?
Marguerite, I think the farrowing house is the most important part of any piggery because it doesn't only bring life, but it also determines the future of your herd. The sows that are in the farrowing house are going to be weaned out, and then what you do with them in the farrowing house informs their subsequent litter on how are they going to perform going forward. It's not just for that current time when they are in the farrowing house. And with your piglets as well, it informs their winner performance and it also informs their grower performance. That is that is going to be not only pre-winning mortality, but it's going to be winner mortality, it's going to be grower mortality, and the whole growth in totality. So, yeah, it is important.
So it basically influences the entire farm. Everything starts there, right?
Everything starts there. All the job that has been done in the service department, it ends in the farrowing house.
So there's so many things that's happening in the farrowing house between the sows and the piglets. What would you say is the one most important one thing that you must ensure that's done correctly?
Actually, everything needs to be done correctly, but the most important one will be the temperature. How you control temperature in the farrowing house, because now your sow's requirements are different from those of piglets, especially at birth. You would require a temperature of somewhere around 18 to 21 for your sows, and for your piglets it will be around 32 degrees Celsius. So therefore you need to ensure that you balance the two, not to overheat your sows but not to let your piglets get cold. So temperature is the most important thing, especially the total environment and your crib area, and not to overheat your sow, to let your sow suffer from heat stress.
Yeah, that will influence her feed intake as well.
Correct. It will influence her feed intake and subsequently then the milk production.
Yes. So what can a farmer do to ensure a successful start to a piglet's life?
That will be colostrum. To ensure that all the piglets that are born, they get full stomach of colostrum from their own mother so that they can build their immune system. And it doesn't end there. It's not only for the immune system. Remember, your colostrum provides heat for the piglets because they are born with no fat. Secondly, it is feed, obviously, but then also it provides a good immune system. It's built from receiving colostrum, and all the injections that are done in gestation, especially those that are for the piglets, needs to be most transferred through colostrum. So if your piglets are not getting colostrum, then what is done for them in gestation, it doesn't get to be realized at the end.
They don't get the benefit from it.
They don't get the benefit of it at all.
So in farms that's in batch systems or that works in groups, a group of sows come in, they farrow, when they're done and it's weaning time, that house needs to be cleaned. How important is that cleaning procedure between groups of sows?
Okay, firstly, I'll need to clarify that there's a difference between your daily routine cleaning and your end of batch cleaning. When you are cleaning while there's pigs in the pen, you would do dry cleaning. You do not want to put water in them. But when you are doing end of the batch cleaning, you want to ensure that you have removed all your pigs out of the pen, because you don't want to put water in there while there's still pigs. And then you would then remove all the dung and all the solids, and then you ensure that you put sanitizer to soften the particles in them. Then you would use a pressure washer, not a hose pipe, but a pressure washer, cleaning from top to bottom, ensuring that all your electric appliances are covered with plastic to ensure that you clean everywhere. And you would try and follow the slope of your piggery. When the water is going west, you can now start south, because now the flow, it's gonna, the water's not gonna move. So that's what you will do to ensure that you've cleaned your. Then after you have pressure washed thoroughly, you need to disinfect and ensure that you understand that how to mix the disinfectant that you are using, and you also know the contact time of that disinfectant so that it can work effectively.
All right, so cleaning in the farrowing house, very important.
Yes, because now it prepares for the next batch.
For your next litter, yes. Sarah, with genetics that keeps on improving, we see that more and more sows have bigger and bigger litters. What can a farmer do to support the sow with or assist her when she needs to farrow a big litter?
All right. First of all, you would have to help the sow. You need to understand, or you need to write up a due date of a sow. A sow can farrow 2 days before that expected date, or it can be 2 days after the expected date. So you need to write that up so that you are prepared for that sow. You know that sow is going to be farrowing at any time. Now, then when the sow starts farrowing, you would start by counting functional teats and write them up. It is important that you do that, because now when you are at piglets number 15, you know for sure that all those piglets are not going to be able to drink at the same time. Then that's when you would do what we call split suckling. You would have helped all those that were born first. You would have marked all the piglets that have received colostrum, and then you would have ensured that they have received a stomach full of colostrum. Then when your litter is now bigger, for instance, let's say you had a sow that's got 10 functional teats and now you are at piglet number 15, then you would take all the piglets that have received colostrum and put them in a box to can allow those that are born later and those that are weak to can receive full stomach of colostrum without any interruptions. That's how you would ensure that all your piglets have received colostrum, and that's when you are dealing with the big litters. Sometimes it's not a problem of a big litter, but your sow does not have enough functional teats. You would also still follow the same procedure.
So it starts with a feed source, if I can call it like that, the feed source for the piglets, in knowing that there's enough teats.
Correct.
What would you say is the most important data to record in a farrowing house?
That is everything. Everything in the farrowing house, it's data. That starts by you would be recording the farrowing procedure, what you would be doing when you are helping a sow, the interval of each and every piglet that is born, whether alive or a mummy. And it will then follow with whether your pigs are born during the day or at night. You will need to have that data because you want to know how the sows that farrowed at night perform versus the sows that farrowed during the day. Then you would record your born alive, your born dead, your mummies, all the treatments that you are giving to the sows and the treatments that you are also giving to the piglets. Yeah.
Well, that's basically everything.
Basically
Yeah.
everything. You need that data to can manage your farrowing house correctly.
And it's like a language that you speak. If someone else comes into the farrowing house to assist you, they can just check on all the records what's been written down, and they know exactly what's going on with the sow.
Correct. Especially like when you, let's look at the mortalities, pre-winning mortalities. If you write up your the reasons why your piglets died, then in a way it helps you focus. You're not going to be packing at the wrong tree,
Yeah.
thinking that laid ons are coming from maybe cold or temperature, if I may put it. You would be aware that all of them are laid ons, but also they are stuffed, something like that.
How would you describe an ideal weaning day, the day where you separate the mother from the piglets?
I think of a winning day as a day, like a day when your child is going to preschool for the first time. New pen mates, your brothers and sisters are gone. You are not sure where you are now. You are just taken to this strange place. You don't know where is your mom, and you are still longing for milk, and you are not getting it. So it's very frustrating, and the piglets will be under a lot of stress. So an ideal winning day will be a day where you try to minimize the level of stress for both piglets and the sow the best way you can. That is starting by preparing a day before winning. There can never be an ideal winning day when you haven't prepared for it. You need to prepare for it. You need to mark all the sows that needs to be weaned. You need to know how many piglets that you will be weaning. Also, you need to ensure that all your sows are marked: who's thin, who's fat, who's okay. And then on the day of winning, we start by feeding the sows in the morning, but we don't let the piglets drink because we want the sows to go out with full stomach of feed, so that when they start stressing about their piglets, at least they have eaten. And we ensure that where they are going, there's also enough feed as well. What you would have marked as an indicator of body condition will be used in gestation to can group them accordingly, according to body size, so that after mating, we can feed them correctly. Again, when you're done doing that, when you've removed your sows, then you would then go to your piglets. You would be moving out your piglets calmly, and you also ensure that the winner house, there's enough feed, the temperature is set correctly, there's bedding, and they have water as well, so that you can minimize, you avoid overcrowding at all costs. Yeah. You also then ensure that you group these piglets according to their size, because they are not going to be of the same size, all of them. You will have the small ones, you will have the medium ones, you will also have the bigger ones. Ensure that you group them to can minimize competition. They are already stressing, so
Yeah.
you will try to help them the best way you can.
So some farmers breed their own replacement gilts. How can they trace and track those gilts that they don't get confused between all the piglets in the farrowing house, for example?
Yeah, you your pure lines starts by the on a farrowing day, whereby if you are to do any fostering, if there's a need for that, you would foster off only your boars. You wouldn't foster your females. And then secondly, you will mark all your gilts, either by tagging them or by doing an ear notch or whatever sign that you are using on your farm to can identify your lines. And then from there, when they are at winner, you will then start selecting your gilts, and you will be putting them separately. Remember, they are now being tagged or notched. And then as they grow, you would ensure that they are being selected and they get a tag as sows. Most of the farmers would do that at 24 weeks, where they will be tagging them, but then that's a final selection where you are sure that these are the gilts that I'm going to be using on my farm, because not everything that is female and is of a pure line can be used as your breeding gilt. So there are a series of selections that you need to do, but it starts in the farrowing house.
All right, so this was now all the questions with regards to the farrowing house and the ins and outs of the farrowing house. Now, Sarah, I have 5 fire questions for you.
Yeah.
The first one is, be busy or be productive?
Yeah, I know people would think that the productive, you must be productive, but you can never be productive when you are not busy. But you cannot be busy competing with the dirt by sleeping.
Okay, so it's basically both.
But
Then question 2, be feared or be trusted?
be trusted. I don't want to be feared. I want to be trusted.
What's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote will be from Henry Ford that says, whether you believe that you can or you believe that you can't, you are actually right.
Oh, I like that one. If your life had a theme song, what would it be?
That will definitely be Rise Up by Andra Day.
And lastly, and also the last question or the last comment for this episode and this season here at Nampu, what is one final thought that you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I think success in the farrowing house comes from observation, consistency, and care. If you do the little things right, they are all, at the end of the day, giving you positive results. But if you neglect the little things and you are not consistent, then everything's going to fall apart.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us here on The Coach today. That is also the last words of Sarah and the last words of myself from the live Pigtalk here at Nampu. If you watched up until here, remember to please comment the word piglets in the comment section below. Remember to like and subscribe our YouTube channel to stay updated on all our talks about anything and everything pigs. This is then all from us. Until next time.
Thank you, Margaret.